Dating nightmare. Dating nightmares.
Y'all are going to die. I just had the worst Hinge date of my entire life. I'm still in disbelief right now. I can't even, I don't even know how to start this, so buckle up. I meet up with this guy who has been hounding me in my messages on Hinge for days now. Honestly, since I downloaded it. And at first I was like, all right, like, but then I'm like, all right, gotta give this man a chance. Like, maybe appreciate the persistence, you know? Normally, when a guy asks me out on Hinge or just in general, I ask for his number, or obviously he asks for mine, and that's where we set up the date from there. He didn't do that, so maybe, lesson learned, I know, but that should have been a red flag for me, because so basically I run home from work, change, whatever, and I meet him in Uptown at one of my favorite cocktail bars, and we sit down, we order one drink, and I kid you not, in 10 minutes, all of a sudden this girl comes up to us, and at first I'm like, oh, like, maybe she needs something. Like I don't, that literally just happened to me a week ago. A girl came up to me and was like, do you have a tampon? So that was my first thought.
That would never be my first thought.
She didn't need a tampon. No. This girl looks at the guy and she's like, for privacy, even though this man doesn't deserve it, we'll call him Benjamin. Only because How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days was my favorite movie. So this girl was like, hi, Benjamin. Hi, Ben. How are you? And this man's face goes stone cold. And I'm just sitting there like, what's going on? But I immediately, like, I kind of catch the vibe of what's happening. This girl is best friends with his girlfriend. So she's like, where's so-and-so? Where is she tonight? And I'm just so uncomfortable sitting there watching this man stumble.
But can we appreciate the fact that that is a real best friend? Because let me tell you, if I saw my best friend's boyfriend out with another woman, it's not just a, hey, Ben, from me.
It was a disaster. So I'm like, I'm gonna go. Like, thank you, sir. Good luck. And I walk back to my car and I sit down and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
One thing about cheaters that shocks me is their level of confidence. Like, to take people out and just to start going out to public places. Like, you better hope not one person somehow connected to your girlfriend sees you. What a risk. That would give me so much anxiety. I could never do it. And because, you know, I have morals.
Where are men finding the audacity? When this happened to me this week, I knew I wanted to share it on here. Hopefully he sees it and his life is ruined, because I actually hate this dude. This is like the worst date that never was. Let's get into it. I matched with this dude and I've been messaging him for a while, and we had planned to go on a date on Wednesday. Wednesday morning rolls around and he texts me, and this is where it should have been my red flag, but I had it as my plans for the night. He said, hey, my friends and I are going to a Christmas bar, like, before our date. Meet us there and then we'll head out after. And I was like, okay, whatever. Honestly, don't mind, like, hanging out with, like, guys' friends, even if I don't know them, because, like, one of them might be hotter, might be cuter. Like, this is just opening up new doors for me. So I really didn't care. I had an event to go to before, and thank God I had an Uber code, because if I paid for an Uber to go on this date, I actually would have lost my mind. It was so not worth any of my time. So it's like a half hour before our date, and I text him and I say, hey, when I get there, meet me outside, because I know I was going to be intercepting him with his friends. I didn't want to, like, walk through the crowd, look all awkward. I was like, just stand outside. I mean, most dates, I like it when they do stand outside, and I'll tell them that if I want them to, or if I'm feeling anxious, I'll just be like, yo, meet you outside, like, see you outside. At first, he was like, yeah. 10 minutes later, he says, actually, I'll probably be in the bathroom when you get here. My friend is gonna grab you outside. And I text him back, I'm like, I'm not coming for 20 minutes. Why are you gonna be in the bathroom for 20 minutes? I was like, that's kind of weird. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, I don't even know what your friend looks like. If you're not outside, this date isn't happening, and I will just go home. And he's like, okay, I'll be out there.
I mean, I would just be like, okay, I'll just wait outside until you're out of the bathroom. How long are you planning to be in the bathroom for? Well, might have been an emergency.
And I say, 7:55 is my ETA. I'm in the Uber. I'm on my way. 7:55 is my ETA. Be outside And it was just kind of becoming a bit at that point. Like, I was just making it into a bit. I was like, you better be outside, you better be outside. And he was like, yeah, I'm gonna be outside for you. So I show up, and there's one guy standing outside, and I see him from across the street. I'm like, that is not my man. He was like 5'5". I'm like, this might be the best catfish ever. But I'm like, that is not my man. And then two other guys walk out. They're all standing outside and smoking a cig. And so I walk up to all of them, and one of them was cute. So I like started like kind of just like chatting while I was outside the bar, because I was nervously standing there. I was waiting for him to come and intercept me outside, and he wasn't outside. So I was just like, okay, let me like talk to these three dudes and like see if they're friends with him, if they know like what's going on. Maybe this friend is actually intercepting me and this guy's in the bathroom. Like, I don't know, whatever. And so I start to talk to them, and they have no idea. Like, they are not showing any signs that they are affiliated with this dude whatsoever. So I walk inside. It's empty. It seems like a huge like crowd of people just like left or something. And so I immediately walk into the bathroom and I text him, and I'm like, where are you? Like, you're supposed to be outside. There's no one in here. You're not in here, because I scanned everyone in there. I'm like, he's not in here, I don't think. And I was like, I'm going to the bathroom. Like, where are you? He then says, I went to a bar uptown. My three friends outside are going to have you come in their Uber and Uber you to where we went. And I was like, oh, I must have not seen them, because the guys I talked to outside had no idea a blonde, tall girl was coming.
I'm annoyed. No, I'm furious at that point. What a waste. Oh my God, and the story's not even over.
And he's like, no, I told them. Blonde, tall girl named Claire. It's like, well, they didn't even ask me what my name is. They just let me go right inside. They're like, have a good night. Also, if these dudes are your best friends and you know I'm on my way there, like, for our date, stay with them and intercept me. Like, what? I'm not gonna get in an Uber with three random dudes. And I walked out of the bathroom. They were already gone. They weren't outside anymore. And so I was just like, whatever. And I used the rest of my Uber credit and I went home. And then he calls me and he's like, yo, so like, I'll order you an Uber uptown, but I want to make sure that you're not going to be in a bad mood, because I just put you through all that, and that we're going to have some fun later. Like, I'm coming back home with you later. And I literally just laughed at him. I said, you're really weird, and then hung up the phone and went to bed. Like, where do men find, like, when did he think that that was okay? Like, you're going on a date with a girl, you're not even going to be at the place that you told her to be at that time, and you're gonna leave with other friends in an Uber.
I don't have one nice thing to say about this man.
Then tell her to get in an Uber with your three best friends that they weren't very good friends, because they just let me walk straight in. Like, I knew that there was something going on, that I was supposed to like talk to them or something, and they were just like, yeah, go in.
I was worried at one point. It sounded like a setup, like you were, you know, attempted kidnapping. As we know, I'm dramatic and I watch way too much true crime, so that could have just been a total left field guess. But I was like, wait a second, come here. My friends will meet you here. Get an Uber with them and they'll bring you here. What? Are you crazy? You are asking me to enter a true crime documentary.
So this was my third date with said boy, okay? And I have not been on a third date with a guy since moving to Nashville. I normally cut it off after 2 if I'm not feeling it, but this boy seemed really nice.
This is off subject. This girl is so pretty. I love letting people know when they're pretty. Not that she can hear me, but
it's intentional. And I was like, okay, we'll go on a third date. So he asked me if I was free on Thursday, and this was like on Monday or Tuesday when he asked, and I said yeah. And then Thursday rolled around and I hadn't heard from him, so I texted him and I was like, hey, did you still want to hang out tonight? And he said, I would love to. My friend is hosting an event, would you want to go with me? I'm gonna go to that. And so I was a little irked, because I was like, he forgot that we were supposed to hang out. But whatever, I'll let it slide. Like, I'm not gonna say anything, I'll still go. So we go, he picks me up and we go to this event. We got there at 7, which was right when it started. So there wasn't a lot of people there yet, but it was fun. Like, he was mingling with me and other people and like introducing me to people, and I knew a few people there, so it was fun. We were flirty, whatever. The first 2.5 hours were fine, and then we get to like 9:30, and I'm talking to this girl and I realize I haven't seen him in a while, and I'm like, where did he go? And I look around and I see him. He's in a group. There's a couple, like a guy and a girl, and then a single girl and him, and they were in a circle talking. And I was like, that's weird, because they weren't standing that far away from me, and I was like, he
like with every other conversation, he's pulled me in, introduced me, included me. But like he was not including me in this conversation, so I was like, that's kind of weird, but whatever. I didn't really think much of it, but they talked for a while, like probably at least 30, maybe 45 minutes. And then the girl I was talking to left, and he came over to like say hi to me for a second.
Oh wow, how nice of him to come say hi for a second. I'm here for you.
Literally said hi for 2 seconds, and then that group called him over, and he didn't say like be right back, he didn't say hold on a sec or come with me. He just got up and left and went with them. And I was like, what the heck? And they all went to the back and were taking pictures in the photo booth together, the 4 of them. It literally looked like a double date.
What?
And they were back there for probably like 10 minutes. And at that point, he had left me alone. Like when he ran off, I was just sitting at the table alone. And I was like, oh my gosh, like what do I do? I'm just sitting here by myself. I didn't know anybody around me. And then this girl that I knew saw me sitting alone, bless her sweet little heart, and came over and sat with me.
Date's over. There was never a date here in the first place. This wasn't a date. It wasn't even a hangout. You guys spent no time together. So I'd be gone. See ya. Enjoy your pictures.
So it's August 2019 in the middle of the summer, and I matched with this guy on Bumble. We had decided to meet at the steps of Sacré-Cœur to have some wine.
That sounds like the most romantic date in the entire world, like a scene from a movie.
That's like a normal thing to do, watch the sunset in the summer, it's very lively. So we meet at the base of Sacré-Cœur and walk up together. Immediately upon seeing him, I'm like, all right, you don't look exactly like your photos, like he's not as cute in real life, but it's not a problem, okay? But from the moment he sees me, he's like, oh my God, you are so much prettier than your pictures. You look so much better in real life. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Like, oh my God, thank you. But it's excessive. Like he's staring at me and he's like, you're so much prettier than your photos. And I'm like, thank you, you know? We go and sit on the stairs and he pulls out a bottle of wine because we agreed that he was going to bring the wine, I was going to bring the snacks. And he pulls out a bottle of red. And I said, it's August, it's super hot, it's like the middle of summer. And I said, and I was smiling and being nice, and I was like, red? You got red wine? And he looks at me and he goes, oh, I guess I'm just a piece of shit for getting red wine. What's wrong with me? I should have gotten something else. I guess I'm just a piece of shit. And I was like, whoa, that really took me aback. I was like, no, you're not a piece of shit. It's just I was surprised that you chose red wine. It's no problem. I like red wine, no problem. Like I'll drink it happily, like no problem. But that really, like immediately all my alarm bells are going off and I'm like, oh, he's one of those. He's one of those who makes self-deprecating comments hoping that you'll correct him, like, oh, I guess I'm just a piece of shit. So then you can say, no, you're not a piece of shit. I don't f with that. I don't play that game. Like, to me, that's a form of manipulation. That's a form of abuse. I'm not down with that. I am not down with that at all.
I'm not understanding the red wine reference and what that has to do with it being summer and hot. I'm not like a huge wine drinker. Does that mean something? Like, do you not drink red wine outside in the summer? Please explain if you're a wine drinker.
But I'm like, whatever, we're on this date, right? So he pours me some wine, we start chatting. And what keeps happening is every time I try to talk, he interrupts me to tell me how pretty I am. Like, he's like, oh, like, where are you from? What do you do? And I'm speaking to him. And mind you, this is in English, even though I speak French. We're doing this whole thing in English. I'll start talking about myself and he goes, oh, sorry, I can't stop staring at your eyes. Your eyes are so blue. And I'm like, thank you. And then I continue my story. And this continues happening. Like anytime I'm speaking, he interrupts me to tell me more about how beautiful I am. And it's like, there's flattery. And then there's the point where it's like, it's getting a bit obnoxious and I'm getting a bit annoyed because I'm like, I get it. You think I'm hot. Cool. Like, can I fucking talk? Do you know what I mean? I'm getting a bit annoyed. At one point, I'm in the middle of saying something about myself and he does it again. He interrupts me again to be like, oh my God, you're so pretty. And I'm just like, yeah, like at this point, I'm kind of tired. So I'm like, thanks, and I start talking again. Then he mumbles under his breath, oui, je m'attendais pour tu me dire la même chose.
Translation, please.
In French, because he thinks I don't speak French. That translates to, yeah, and I'm waiting for you to tell me the same thing. This motherfucker. Because first of all, you don't give out compliments hoping to get them back. That's manipulation. You give out compliments because you have something nice to say about someone.
And at first in the beginning, I was like, I think she's being a little bit dramatic about this whole thing and like assuming he's fishing for something. No, he is. He wants it back.
And you want them to hear it. You don't give out compliments looking for something in return, first of all. Second of all, it's weird and f***ing creepy, frankly, for a grown-ass man to be fishing for compliments. Third of all, I'm not gonna lie to you. You're actually uglier in person than you are in photos, so why would I say any of this to you? Like, if I'm not saying it freely from the bottom of my heart, don't ask me why, because then that's awkward, and I have to say to you that I don't think you're cute. Like, that's weird. Why would you try to instigate that conversation in the middle of the date? Why do you want me to tell you what I think of your looks right now in front of you? That's weird. After he said that and I heard him, I was like, what was that? And he's like, oh, nothing. And I was like, okay, cool. In my head, I'm like, I can speak French. I can understand you. At one point, he goes, oh, have you been on a lot of Bumble dates? And I was like, yeah. He was really taken aback by this. Mind you, the French are not as big into dating apps as we are in the US, but like in the US, it's totally normal to go on 1-2 dates a week, like until you find what you're looking for. That's totally normal. And I had been single for about a year at this point. So yeah, I've gone on lots of Bumble dates. He was very taken aback. He was like, really? You've gone on a lot of Bumble dates? Well, how come? And I was like, okay, personal, like whose business is it of yours? But I was like, I mean, because I know exactly what I'm looking for, and I'm looking for that feeling with someone. And, you know, if I don't have it, then I'm not going to continue seeing them. So I go on lots of dates to meet people and hopefully find the person that I'm going to spend my life with. Then he asks me, oh, and do you sleep with these people? Again, none of your fucking business. Like, what are you doing? Like,
I mean, I don't think you should be asking if they've slept with them. Maybe not on a first date. I feel like that's a big debate though. Some people think it's totally reasonable for someone to ask about how many people they've slept with and things like that on the first date, because for some people that's very important to them. That's a big debate, whether you think it's appropriate or not. You guys can let me know.
Some guy, not me, but some guy needs to go become friends with this guy and give him some dating advice because he needs it. And I was like, no, I don't sleep with any of them, but thanks for asking. Like, it's super awkward at this point. Sprinkled in with the continuous compliments, vibes are off. Vibes are so off. So after I finished explaining that, yes, I've been on lots of dates because I know what I'm looking for, he's really quiet for a minute. He's like looking off into the side, and then he turns back to me and he goes, you know, Amanda, life isn't a fairy tale. Not everyone is going to be as perfect as you. So you really have to give people chances. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, the f did you just say to me? Like, I am taken aback. And I look at him and I'm like, I never said that I was perfect, and I do give people chances, but there's a difference between giving somebody a chance and then knowing after a date if I'm interested in seeing them again and just not seeing them again. Like, I know what feeling I'm looking for. I know the connection that I'm searching for. If I don't feel it, then, like, again, why am I explaining myself to who the hell are you? Like, I don't have to do anything with anyone ever if I don't want to. I'm like, what, am I fighting with you on a date? Like, what is happening? Then at one point he asks me where I live. He's like, oh, so where do you live? And I was like, oh, like around here. And because we're sitting on the steps of Sacré-Cœur, you can see down into Montmartre. And he's like, yeah, but where do you live? And I'm like, oh, just around here. And he goes, oh, but where? And I'm like, just like over there. And he's literally trying to get me to pinpoint my exact street. He's like, oh, I know the area. Like, which street is it? And I was like, and I didn't tell him because I thought that was weird also. So at this point, vibes are off. There's tension between us. I'm trying to get the fuck out of it. I'm drinking my wine so fast because I'm trying to get done with this date, right?
The girl's gonna be drunk by the end of this date. She's chugging the hot red wine.
Luckily, there's a million bajillion people on the stairs, so we're not alone. We finish the wine and we start walking to the top of the stairs, okay? Woo, outfit change. Okay, back to where I was. So we're leaving, we're walking to the top of the steps. I'm trying to get out of the state as fast as possible, right? We get to the top of the stairs, we put the wine in the trash can, and he turns and looks at me, and I'm getting ready for the like, okay, bye, and then I run home and block him, right? He turns to me and he goes, Amanda, I think you need to give me a second chance.
Sir, to be honest, I don't even think she gave you a first chance. The chance is over. We're in the first chance and it's over.
And I'm like, what? And he's like, please, do you think we can see each other again? And I am a very honest person, and I said this very nicely, but I was like, I don't think that we should see each other again. Like, I'm not so sure that's a good idea. Listen, maybe I shouldn't have said that to his face, but you know what? I'm sick of pretending to be nice and censoring myself for these emotionally reactive motherfuckers. Like, no, I'm sick of like pretending to be nice and being like, yeah, for sure, just so I can then go home and block him. Like, if you ask me, I'm going to tell you to your face, no. And also, I think it's weird to ask me to my face based on the date that we just had. So then he looks at me and he goes, and he switched to French at this point. He goes, il faut que tu me donnes une deuxième chance. Which means you must give me a second chance. You have to give me a second chance. At this point, I'm kind of getting a little pissed off and a little defensive because I don't have to give anyone fucking anything, right? So I was like, I'm not so sure. Like, listen, it was really nice to meet you, but like, I don't think that I'd like to see you again. Then he says, il faut que tu me donnes une deuxième chance. J'ai fait mes études, j'ai un CDI, il faut que tu me donnes une deuxième chance. What that means is you have to give me another chance because I went to school and I have a CDI, which is a permanent work contract. This man is literally like have you seen the meme of Morty from Rick and Morty holding up his card and it's like times I was nice to women and there's punch cards and it's like now you have to have sex with me. This man was like, no, I went to school, I have a CDI, you have to give me a chance, as if I give a fuck about his qualifications, as if that earns him anything with any woman ever. again, and he's saying this very loudly, right? Like he's saying it loudly, but people are around us and they're starting to watch now. After he says that, I say, listen, I don't think so. And then he grabs me by the shoulders, like with both hands. He's grabbing me and he's screaming, il faut que tu me donnes une deuxième chance. And at this point, people start looking because they notice that there's an altercation and that this guy just put his hands on me. He notices that people are noticing that he put his hands on me, so he slowly lifts his hands up and is still standing there getting ready to say something, but he's like looking around because he knows people can see him. And I take my chance and I bolt. I run. I sprint down the bottom of the stairs and I take a weird way home because he kept insisting on asking where I live and I was afraid that he was going to follow me. And I remember I called my best friend Colleen and I just started hysterically crying and I was like, I just had this really bad date. He put his hands on me and I think he's following me. And I like took a really weird way home and obviously blocked him on everything. But yeah, that was the worst date I've ever had in my entire life.
At least you know that he really liked you. You never have to wonder how he felt about you or felt about that date. He really liked you. I don't know how I would handle all of those things. I'm trying to like give the benefit of the doubt from his perspective, and maybe he was just like, I'm gonna shower her with compliments because maybe, you know, I don't go on a lot of dates and that's a really nice thing to do. People love compliments. Like I'm trying to see it from his perspective of his intentions. But there were things that for sure I'd be like, no, I'm starting to feel a little bit uncomfortable. Hop none! Hydration station. I have more energy if you can't tell. I'm hyper today. Grab your beverage of choice, but I will encourage some water. Even just a little sippy. A little sippy. For me. Cheers.
So this was long ago, but at the time I was working in a gym in Orlando, and we had a regular that would come in and play basketball, and every single time he would come in, he would ask me out, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm trying to mix the two, business pleasure, because then I'm gonna have to see you every day, and I don't want to see you every day if it's not gonna work out. One day I was in a attitude and said yes. The day of, he texted me like super excited about tonight. We're gonna go to Universal City Walk. They have a bunch of like restaurants and cute little places to go out. And then he said, make sure you are wearing a tight dress and heels. I love a girl wearing heels. And I was like, okay, don't know how I feel about you telling me what to wear, first of all. Also, I like a vibe check, so I'm gonna let it slide. Also in my head, I'm just like, okay, we like a man with a plan, like, you know, obviously he has something in mind if he's telling me to dress up. So then we get to City Walk, and I am the only motherfucker dressed up.
I don't know how I would react if a guy was like, wear a tight dress and heels. How about you worry about what you're gonna wear to the date? Am I dramatic? How would you guys feel?
So here I am looking like a class act streetwalker amongst a sea of families who just got out of the amusement parks for the day. To the first restaurant and they're booked. Second restaurant booked. Third restaurant, they're booked. So at this point, I'm a little bit irritated that he made me get dressed up and ready when he didn't even have a plan. That's when we looked up, saw that there was a Panda Express, and he said, why don't we go to a Panda Express? This man made me dress up in a tight ass skirt and crop top with stilettos to go to a fast food restaurant. And me, being the complete dumbass that I was at the time, was like, sure, I'll go on another date with you. Let's see how red we can paint these flags. And we went to a sports bar, and I'm like, cool, whatever. I'm a super chill girl anyways. He brings his friend. He always sit down with his friend, and they're eating, and I'm like, okay, I'm like, this is off. I thought this was a date, but I guess not.
Girl, please. Those flags were already painted red, okay? You were holding his hand with the paintbrush in it.
And then I get to hearing them talk, and he thinks that I'm watching the game, but I got my ears open. And this man says to his friend, yo man, I got like 7 bitches in rotation. Oh, do you? Do you now? Judging off of the first date, I knew he was super cheap, so I know just where to hit him. And I was super petty at the time, and I was not about to settle for his shit. So I started ordering shots, drinks, food that I didn't even eat, all to prove a point. And my point being, number 1, make a plan for your date, especially if you're expecting her to dress up for you. And then number 2, don't f with me, because I will f with you so much harder where it hurts.
Red flags were there from the start. Maybe I wasn't being dramatic. That would be shocking. Maybe I wasn't being dramatic, and that telling me what to wear, that would have been a red flag in my mind going off, and I probably wouldn't have wanted to go as much, to be honest. I don't know if I would have went. Maybe being dramatic is a good thing? I'm just gonna tell myself that.
Welcome to day 10 of 75 Yap. I was out for a trip last night, and it reminded me of this dating story, so I'm gonna tell you it. So basically, I had been dating this guy. There's a bit of an age gap, I think I was 21 and he was 30, and he was okay, but he was
a bit of an age gap. I'm only thinking about myself when I was 21 and someone who was 30. My maturity level, absolutely not. I mean, I'm dressed like a freaking toddler right now.
had a few things I wasn't too keen on, but you know, I was just dating him, that's how it goes. So basically one night we're just chilling at his house and he's like, do you want a chipper? And I'm like, oh, that would be lovely. Yeah, thank you so much. So he orders the chipper, he's starving. I'm hungry myself. I think we'd been like a walk and things. So I was like, yeah, I'll just have a normal, regular fish and chips. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna get like the extra large jumbo haddock or something like this. And I'm like, that's totally fine. So we go and collect it, and he is honestly struggling to drive there. I don't even know how that's not an ick. It really was. But he was in like the wrong gear and it was like shuddering, and that put me off straight away. But the worst part's about the chipper. So we get there, I wait in the car, he goes and collects it, he pays for it, very nice. So we get home and he's getting all the sauces out and everything like this, and we sit down to eat it, and he is like staring at me, and I'm like, what is this guy staring at? Like, I'm like, lovely, thank you so much. Eating away, I'm trying to eat slow because he said that he previously hated when people ate with their mouth full and stuff, so I was like trying to, you know. So he's staring at mine, I'm like, oh, you alright? Like, is it nice? He's like, yeah. Still looking raging. So he says to me, he's like, oh, I ordered like a jumbo, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know you must have been hungry. He's like, no, like ours are the exact same size. And I was like, oh yeah, that is kind of annoying, isn't it? And he's still eating his, I'm eating mine. And then he's like staring at me, staring at mine, and I'm like, are you okay? And he said, well, I'm gonna be starving. And I'm like, oh right, do you want half of mine? And he's like, yeah. And I could not believe that this man said yes. Like, am I in the wrong here? He did pay for it, but is it my fault that I then have to be starving? So then I'm eating half of a fish and chips for my supper and supposed to be attracted to this man. I was like, surely you would just eat what you were given and then we could have went to the shop for some snacks, or am I in the wrong? But anyway, did not see this man again. That was the end. That was the end.
I'm missing the part of why he couldn't just order his own fish and chips. Like, bro, if you're hungry, order. Was it because he didn't want to pay for all of it? I don't know. Even as the person who would be paying, I would rather just pay for the meal than ask someone for half of their meal. Man, French fries sound so good. That whole time, I got lost at one point. I might have even stopped listening because she said fish and chips. I hate seafood, but all I could think about was French fries with vinegar. I honestly think I blacked out. I missed part of her story. Let me know all of your thoughts, and I'm getting out of here. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy.